Welcome to our deep dive into advanced AI prompting techniques.
Yeah, definitely advanced.
We're looking at what looks like a chapter from a book, and it really dives into the theory side of things.
It does. It's definitely for people who already know a little about prompting.
Yeah, we don't need to go over, what a prompt even is,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But what I thought was really interesting was how much it focused on structured interactions and like fallback logic,
Oh, yeah.
making sure that the AI can handle unexpected
It's
things.
almost like you're designing one of those choose your own adventure books.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to figure out every path the user might take.
Right. Plan for every possibility.
Right. And then the AI needs to be able to handle it when things go off script.
Exactly like that example with the library chatbot.
Oh, yeah.
What if someone asks for a book that the library doesn't have?
A bad chatbot would just say, like, I don't know, and that's it.
Right. That's not helpful at all.
Exactly. So that's where the fallback logic comes in.
So instead of just giving up the AI, can offer other options.
Right. It could suggest similar books, maybe by the same author.
Or even like different genres.
Yeah, or it could even say, hey, you know what, you should talk to a librarian.
Exactly. Someone who can actually help.
It's all about making the experience seamless. Even when the AI can't give you exactly what you asked for.
And that leads right into the next big idea, the whole context thing, keeping the conversation flowing.
Coherent conversation.
You can't just respond to each prompt like it's a brand new thing.
Each one in isolation.
Yeah. It needs to remember what's been said.
It's like remembering someone's name.
Right, or something they mentioned earlier and then bringing it back up later.
It makes the conversation so much more natural.
It's the difference between talking to a robot reading a script
Right.
and an actual human who gets you.
Exactly. You want that personalized feeling.
That's how you make AI feel really intelligent.
And that brings us to something I found fascinating.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Emotion prompts.
Motion prompts.
It's about getting the AI to respond with specific emotions.
So like empathy or excitement?
Even humor.
Wow, like we're teaching AI to have emotional intelligence.
And it's not just theory.
Oh, really?
There are studies that show how much better AI performs when you use these emotion prompts.
Give me an example.
Okay, so one study used an AI as a teacher.
Okay.
It had to explain something kind of sensitive.
A sensitive topic.
Right, and they prompted the AI to be compassionate.
Interesting.
And you know what? Students understood the material 8% better.
Wow. Just by adding that emotional element.
Exactly. It's powerful stuff.
It makes you think about all the possibilities.
Education therapy, customer service.
What if you had an AI tutor that could actually support students emotionally?
Or an AI therapist that could offer empathy and guidance.
That would be incredible, making therapy way more accessible.
The possibilities are pretty profound.
They really are. But with all this amazing stuff comes a need for control, right?
Oh, absolutely. Reliability is key.
Like what about those AI hallucinations we hear about?
Oh, yes, where the AI just makes stuff up. Right, or says things that are totally off.
We need to make sure the AI is giving us accurate information.
Because an emotionally intelligent AI that's spouting nonsense is actually dangerous.
Exactly. And the chapter talks about ways to prevent that.
Like what?
Well, you can set confidence thresholds.
So the AI only answers when it's really sure.
Right. And you can do regular audits of the output.
Catch those errors.
Exactly. And you can even use feedback loops so users can flag anything that seems wrong.
It's like with any powerful tool, you need safety measures.
Precisely.
So now let's get to the heart of it, the frameworks that make all this possible.
The chapter talks about 3 algorithm of thoughts.
Okay.
Graph of thoughts and chain prompting.
Starting with algorithm of thoughts, or AOT.
Right. It seems like this is a big step forward.
It outperforms the older chain of thought method. What makes it so special?
Well, it uses this tree search mechanism to find the best solution. It's like a tree with branches representing different thought processes.
And AOT explores each branch, seeing how likely it is to succeed.
And it gets rid of the bad branches early on.
Right. It's much faster and more efficient than just going through a linear chain of thoughts.
So it's not just thinking step by step.
No, it's considering multiple possibilities at the same time.
And then picking the best one. That's pretty amazing.
It is, and the chapter talks about how well it works for both creative writing and problem solving.
Really?
They even mention it being able to solve complex math problems like the game of 24.
Wow, so it's not just about generating text.
No, it's about actual cognitive processing solving real problems.
Fascinating. Okay, so what about graph of thoughts?
Graph of thoughts, or GUT-T, represents reasoning as a graph.
Okay, a graph.
Like a mind map, But for
I
AI,
see.
each node is a thought, and the edges show how they're connected.
So instead of a line of thoughts, it's more like a web.
Exactly. And that allows for more complex operations,
Like what kind?
combining thoughts, refining them, generating new ones.
It sounds really powerful for tasks that need a lot of information processing.
It is, and it's designed to be fast and efficient.
It can handle a lot of information.
They talk about using it for all sorts of things.
Like what?
Sorting numbers, identifying genetic markers, even merging different versions of a contract.
It seems like GATT could change a lot of fields.
Absolutely anywhere you need to process complex information.
So we've got AOT, which is like a super efficient problem solver,
Right.
and GATT, which is great for handling lots of information.
What about chained prompting?
Okay, so with chain prompting, it's more about structuring the prompts we give to the AI.
Okay, so how is that different?
Well, instead of giving one big, complicated prompt, we break it down into smaller, connected ones.
Oh, like steps.
Yeah, exactly.
So instead of giving the AI a huge task all at once.
We guide it through it, step by step.
Interesting.
The chapter talks about 3 methods for this:
Okay, I'm listening.
progressive detailing, structured elaboration, and the scientific method.
So progressive detailing, that's starting broad and adding more detail as you go.
Right, like peeling back the layers of an onion.
I get it.
Say you want the AI to explain a historical event.
Okay.
You start by asking for a basic overview.
Right, just the main points.
Then you prompt for the causes, then the key players, and so on.
You build a complete understanding gradually.
Exactly.
What about structured elaboration?
That's more about problem solving.
Okay.
Like, let's say you're working on a conservation project.
Okay, trying to save endangered species.
You might start with a prompt like, biodiversity is declining rapidly. How do we identify the most vulnerable species?
That's a good starting point, setting the scope.
Right, and then you follow up with prompts that guide the AI to the next steps.
Like, okay, now that we know which species are most vulnerable, how do we create habitats to protect them?
You're prompting the AI to think strategically and come up with actual solutions.
It's not just finding information, it's about solving a problem.
Exactly, and the last one, the scientific method, that's pretty self-explanatory.
You're teaching the AI to think like a scientist.
Using the scientific method.
Question, research, hypothesis, experiment, analyze, conclude.
It's like giving the AI a whole new way of thinking.
So we've got 3 very different methods.
And the chapter stresses that the best one depends on the task and the AI model you're using.
It's not one size fits all.
You got to pick the right tool for the job.
Exactly. And that brings us to the last technique they talk about, conversational prompting.
This is the one I've been really curious about.
It's all about that back and forth dialogue.
The user's really steering the conversation.
It's more than just asking questions and getting answers.
It's a dynamic interaction where the AI gets the context, remembers what's been said.
And it responds in a natural way.
It's like you're collaborating with a colleague.
The chapter highlights some key things about it.
Like what?
The AI can ask clarifying questions.
To make sure it understands.
And it remembers previous interactions.
So it doesn't lose track.
And it uses natural language.
So it feels like a real conversation.
It seems like we're getting closer to that vision of AI as a true conversational partner.
It does, and they give a great example about starting a garden.
Oh yeah, the gardening example.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Imagine you're a total beginner.
No idea where to start.
You tell the AI, I want to start a garden on my balcony, but I've never done this before. What should I do?
A pretty basic question.
But it opens up a whole conversation.
And the AI doesn't just overwhelm you with information.
Right. It gives you a few suggestions, maybe herbs or small vegetables that would do well on a balcony.
Okay, so it's already tailoring its response.
And then it asks, do you want something decorative or something you can eat?
How much sun does your balcony get?
It's gathering information to give you the best advice.
That's like a gardening coach.
Exactly. And as you talk more, it remembers your preferences.
It gives you tips on soil watering, even pest control.
It's so much better than just Googling generic gardening advice.
It's personalized, it's interactive, it's actually helpful.
And you can imagine this applied to so many things.
Oh, yeah.
Learning a language, planning your finances.
What about AI assistants in the future?
I think we're definitely moving away from just giving voice commands.
It'll be more about having a real conversation.
As AI gets better at understanding language, conversational interfaces will become the norm.
So we'll go from commanding AI to collaborating with it.
That's a great way to put it.
It's not just about intelligence, it's about communication.
And that's where these advanced prompting techniques really shine.
They're making AI more human-centered.
Easier to use, more natural.
Speaking of human-centered design, let's go back to those 3 frameworks we talked about.
Algorithm of thoughts. Graph of thoughts, chained prompting.
I'm curious which one would be best for these future conversational AI systems.
That's a great question, and I think each one has its strengths.
Okay.
Algorithm of thoughts is all about efficient problem solving.
Using that research.
It could be perfect for AI assistants that need to analyze situations quickly and make decisions.
Like an AI travel agent.
Exactly. It could find you the best flights and hotels based on your preferences and budget.
Without you having to do all the work.
And Graph of Thoughts is great for handling lots of information and coming up with creative solutions.
So maybe an AI research assistant.
That could help scientists analyze data and form new hypotheses.
Could even write the research paper.
And chain prompting is really good for guiding the AI through complex tasks.
Breaking them down into smaller steps.
Exactly like writing a report, composing music, designing a product.
It's like giving the AI a roadmap.
So it stays on track and produces something coherent.
It sounds like we could even have hybrid systems that combine all three.
That would be incredibly powerful and versatile.
It's an exciting prospect,
Yeah.
but as we move towards this future of conversational AI,
We need to think about the ethical implications.
absolutely. How do we make sure these systems are used responsibly?
We need to make sure they're fair, transparent, accountable.
And we need to be careful about bias and privacy.
It's a conversation that needs to involve everyone.
Not just AI experts, but ethicists, policymakers, the public.
These technologies will impact all of us.
It's a collective responsibility to make sure AI is used for good.
I completely agree.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to move on to the final technique covered in this chapter, conversational prompting.
The one that feels the most like natural human communication.
A true back-and-forth exchange.
Let's dive in. So before the break, we were talking about how conversational prompting could change so many fields.
It's a powerful idea, but I'd love to see some real examples of how it would work.
Yeah, let's get specific.
This chapter mentioned that scenario with the user who wants to start a garden.
Right, the gardening example.
It shows how conversational prompting can make AI helpful for everyday stuff.
Even something as simple as gardening.
Yeah, exactly. So in that scenario, the user says they want to start a garden.
But they're a total beginner.
They ask the AI, I want to start a garden on my balcony, but I've never done this before. What should I do?
It's a basic question, but it's the start of a really personalized experience.
And the AI doesn't just give them a generic list of gardening tips.
Right, it starts by making a few suggestions.
Maybe herbs or vegetables that would do well on a balcony.
And then the key is it asks clarifying questions.
Right. Do you want something decorative or something you can eat?
How much sun does your balcony get?
So it's figuring out exactly what the user needs.
It's like a gardening coach, not just an information source.
And as the conversation goes on, the AI remembers what the user said.
It gives them advice on soil types, watering schedules, pest control.
All tailored to their specific situation.
It's a totally different experience from just searching the internet.
It's personalized and interactive, much more engaging and effective.
And you can imagine this being used in so many other areas.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like learning a language or planning your finances.
What about the future of AI assistants?
I think we'll definitely move away from simple voice commands.
And towards more natural conversations.
As AI models get better at understanding language, conversational interfaces will become the standard.
So we'll go from telling AI what to do to having a real back and forth with it.
It's not just about intelligence, it's about communication. And that's where these advanced prompting techniques are so important.
They're making AI more human-centered.
More user-friendly.
So let's go back to those three frameworks.
Algorithm of thoughts, graph of thoughts, and chained prompting.
Which one do you think would be best for building these conversational AI systems of the future?
That's a good question. Each one has its own strength.
Okay, let's break it down.
Algorithm of thoughts is great for problem solving.
Using that tree search to find the best solution.
It could be perfect for AI assistants that need to make decisions quickly.
Like, imagine an AI travel agent.
Exactly. It could find the best flights and hotels for you in seconds.
Based on your preferences and budget.
And Graph of Thoughts is perfect for handling lots of information.
And synthesizing it to come up with creative solutions.
So you could have an AI research assistant.
They could help scientists analyze data and develop new hypotheses.
Exactly. And chain prompting is good for breaking down complex tasks.
Into smaller steps.
So it could be used for things like writing reports, composing music, or even designing a product.
It's like giving the AI a roadmap to follow.
So it can create a coherent and well-structured output.
It seems like we could even have hybrid systems that combine all three frameworks.
That would be incredibly powerful.
But as we move towards this future of more conversational AI, we can't forget about the ethical side of things.
Right, we need to make sure these systems are used responsibly.
We need to make sure they're fair and transparent and accountable.
We have to be careful about bias and protect user privacy. This is a conversation that needs to involve everyone, not just AI experts.
Ethicists, policymakers,
Yeah.
the public, everyone needs to be a part of this.
We all have a responsibility to make sure AI is used for good.
Well said. So conversational prompting really changes how we think about talking to AI.
It does. It's not just about giving instructions anymore.
It's like having a real conversation
The chapter says it's about back and forth dialogue.
where the AI can actually understand what you're saying.
And remember what you've talked about before.
Right. It's not just responding to each prompt in isolation.
It needs to keep track of the whole conversation.
That makes me think about memory, how important that is for this kind of prompting.
Oh, definitely. If the AI needs to remember past interactions to stay on topic,
It's almost like giving it a short-term memory.
like a little mental notepad,
That's what makes it feel so much more human.
more like a natural conversation.
And it would make the user experience so much better.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine talking to an AI that remembers your preferences.
And adapts to how you like to communicate.
That's what that gardening example showed.
Right as the conversation went on, the AI remembered what the user said.
About the type of garden and how much sun it gets.
And it used that information to give more specific advice
It's like having a personal gardening assistant.
that learns and grows with you.
It's so much more helpful than just searching for generic advice online.
It creates a real sense of partnership between the user and the AI.
When the AI remembers what you said, it makes you trust it more.
And that makes the interaction more natural and engaging.
I can see this being huge in fields like education and therapy.
Oh, yeah.
An AI tutor that remembers what a student is struggling with.
And adjusts its teaching style to help them.
Or an AI therapist that provides support based on your emotional history.
It could make a huge difference in people's lives.
And think about customer service.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
An AI that remembers your past purchases and knows what you need.
It would make those interactions so much smoother and more efficient.
Conversational prompting could really change how we interact with technology.
In so many different ways.
But we have to use it responsibly.
Absolutely. With great power comes great responsibility, right?
As AI becomes more integrated into our lives
We need to make sure these systems are fair and transparent.
and accountable.
We can't let bias creep in.
And we have to protect user privacy.
It's a challenge, but it's one we need to face head on.
If we want to see the full potential of conversational prompting.
And all these other amazing AI techniques.
This chapter has been a real eye-opener.
It has.
It's shown us just how quickly AI is evolving.
And how much potential it has to change the world.
From structured interactions and fallback logic,
To emotion prompts and conversational interfaces.
it's clear that we're just at the beginning of this journey.
It's an exciting time to be working in this field.
I'm excited to see what the future holds for AI.
And how these techniques will continue to evolve.
It's up to all of us to make sure that AI is used for good.
To make the world a better place.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI.
Until next time.